To say that Shay and Emile Heskey are with us for the full evening here on Sky. Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager, has joined us pre-match. Thank you very much for joining us. There is a sense of anticipation, isn't there, which I'm guessing you relish?
Yeah, absolutely. The crowd here since day one, since I've arrived, have been incredible for us. And it's a special night tonight, I think, an opportunity to progress into a semi-final. Very difficult game. We're expecting a really good match.
But you embrace that?
Yeah, I think you have to. You know, from our side, these are the games we want. The pressure that comes with it, we'll try and relish and try and enjoy. I know it's going to be an expectant crowd, but hopefully we can entertain and, yeah, hopefully we can win.
When you look at your first year, I mean, the stats are truly phenomenal. For you personally and your team, the home record defensively as well. Just looking at your management, your most points per game of Newcastle managers in your calendar year. 36 games, averaging 2 points per game. I mean, has that surprised you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, looking at it, I haven't really seen those types of things. I don't really sit and analyse what we've done. It's always about the next game and trying to keep that forward momentum. I think I'm with some unbelievable names there. So if we can stay in that company and keep winning games and getting points, and that's obviously what we're looking to do. Your
home record as well, and this has been a difficult ground in recent years for the home players. The atmosphere hasn't been great. Your home record since the defeat to Cambridge in the FA Cup last year is phenomenal. I look over your shoulder, I look over Emile Heskey's shoulder. It's the noise, it's the passion, the feeling. It's a quote from Sir Bobby Robson. You seem to be working in synergy with the fans. Would that be fair?
Well, I think you have to try to do that. I think that the power of the supporters here is huge. Hasn't always been the case previously for loads of different reasons. What we've tried to do is try and play a style of football that they enjoy watching and that they will back and make the difference, because I think I've been here as an away team and I think you can use the crowd in different ways. We need it as a powerful force to help us.
You will know that from your time here.
Yeah, I mean, as Eddie knows now, he's been here years. It's an amazing place. You know, when this place is up and rocking, it's just a phenomenal place. My question would be, obviously, you look at all the stats and the records. It's absolutely been an amazing 12 months. But obviously, disappointing from the weekend. Is that like a reset button for everyone, as opposed to go, you know, we fell out of the FA Cup, but tonight's an opportunity, as you might rightly say, for the semi-finals, the next one?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes when you lose and you feel that disappointment from losing, it can serve as a really good reminder for the group that nothing's guaranteed, nothing's given. You have to earn it every single game. Could have beaten Sheffield Wednesday, it could have been very different. It wasn't. We have to accept it, learn from it, and try and use it tonight really to power us on.
When you sat down, when you took over, just going back to the fans, did you have a plan to get them on side?
Yeah, as I say, it was based really on our style of play. So we felt if we were really aggressive in every phase, that the supporters would back that. So it was trying to galvanise them in a way that they're watching the players commit and give everything for the shirt, and in return that they would then back us. And they've been absolutely incredible, I have to say. Even in disappointment in the early days, the games were very difficult. But the supporters never wavered in their support for the players on the pitch.
But you have to buy into the area as well as an individual, don't you? I mean, we fans, doesn't matter who we support, whether it's Leicester or Newcastle or a Manchester club, whatever, we expect the people who are involved in our club to buy into the area and love the area.
Yeah, you have to. I think you come here and it's not about me, it's about adjusting myself to the club and to the area, and I think that was hugely important for me. I needed to show the commitment that I was going to bring my family to the area. I was going to go all in and try and make a real success of my time here. So I take it as a huge honour to be here, a massive challenge. I'm enjoying it at this present time. Desperate for more success. We've only just started. That's a year's worth of stats to analyse there, but we know that the hard work's only just begun, really.
You've already acclimatised because you're the only one who hasn't got a coat on. So very well.
Back inside in a minute.
Very well done. Just we talk about atmosphere. You talk about being on the front foot and passion. You're also incredibly well organised defensively. Your defensive record, and we've got the stats here again. You may not be looking at the stats that much, but look where you are in your Premier League ranking on various goals conceded, open play goals conceded, clean sheets. Can you give us an indication of the amount of time you would spend in a week on your defensive phases of play?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of work's gone into those stats and those results. I think it takes a willingness from the team to produce that. That's not just about the back four. We do specialised work with just the back four, but it is about the team then protecting its goal and having pride in keeping clean sheets and having that work ethic running through the team. I have to compliment all the players on those stats. They're brilliant for me as a coach to see, but I think the players deserve the credit for executing it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As a coach, I mean, that is evidence of coaching, isn't it?
Yeah, as I say, that's not just down to me. That's down to the coaching team we have: Jason Tyndall, Graham Jones, Stephen Purchase. You know, there's a lot of work from everyone, but most of all, the players have to then implement your work, and a lot of defending is down to mentality. So I hope I haven't built us up too much. You know, that's a work in progress, because you're always judged on the next game, and today's going to be a big test of our defensive resilience.
Thank you very much for joining us. Go inside and get warm. Eddie, thank you very much. That defensive coaching takes some doing, because players don't always buy into that, Emile, do they?
Especially forwards.
Yeah.
You know, but again, you look at the best forwards, you're looking at people like Ian Rush, who made it a lot easier for defenders, because you're defending from the front, so it doesn't actually come up to them. So that is the key thing, is getting everyone to be switched on at the right time and knowing when to defend. You know, when you jump, when you don't jump, when you sit in, when someone goes out, and how you follow after that.
But that, from my experience of talking to ex-pros, working on shape, working on the defensive side of things, tends to get them rolling their eyes.
It does, but when you're third in the league and you're so high up, you're in a quarter-final of the League Cup, you know, players are going to listen, they're going to join in, they're going to do. But I think Emile's right, it comes from the very front. It's not just the back four and the goalkeeper here at Newcastle. I think he's got the whole team, you know, chasing the ball high up the pitch. And invariably, if you won the ball high up the pitch, you'll create more chances as well. So I think it's a whole unit. The balance is really spot on.
It's really interesting being here under Eddie Howe, because he comes down the touchline to join us, and they are all the fans who are here are up and applauding him and cheering him, and that kind of, I know I keep banging on about it, but that relationship has not been there in recent years with fans and previous managers. Some have had it, some haven't. Yeah,
well, I think he's hit the ground running. I think he said it himself. It's been a phenomenal 12 months. You know, he said himself, he's moved his family here, the kids are in school, all the stuff, and the fans have taken that. And of course, the results help that as well, Chappers. The results have been absolutely brilliant. So he's on a real journey with this city, with this team, and long may that continue.
Has he surprised you both?
I think he has surprised, because again, it's such a huge club, and it is a big club, and it's a huge job that he's taken up. But he actually has surprised me, because you never know. You're looking at Benitez, you're looking at Steve Bruce, etc., and then you're talking about him coming into this job, and you don't know if the fans are going to get behind him. But he's thrown his whole self into it, and I think that's the appreciation you're getting from these fans, that they see what he's doing.
Because let's not forget, he wasn't the first choice when he was appointed. Then some people thought he might be a stopgap if he keeps them up, and then they might look again. Then there was criticism about how Bournemouth defended under him, and then you see everything that we have shown and gone, well, he's secure for a while.
Yeah, I think he's mentioned his backroom staff as well. I think they're important. He's got a really good team behind him as well. But yeah, I mean, the stats back everything up, everything he's done, everything he's worked on. And you're right, Unai Emery, I think, was the favourite for the job, and whatever turned it down or didn't happen. And even some Newcastle fans in the cold light of day would have said 12 months ago, Eddie Howe, I'm not sure. But you ask any fan tonight at this stadium, Eddie Howe, they wouldn't want any other manager in the world to be at this football club.
It is some history that Newcastle have, and their sporting director Dan Ashworth joins myself, Shay, and Emile. You see some of that and you think, cool, if you get this right, it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful football club with a rich history, wonderful city and fantastic supporters, and the vision of the club is to try and compete towards the top end of the Premier League and win some trophies again. So
when you talk about vision from your point of view, how far ahead are you looking with that vision?
Well, I always think the sporting director's job is to look at the medium to long-term future of the football club. Obviously, the manager, Eddie Howe, is the shorter term and tonight's game and season to season. So we would have an idea of what we'd like to achieve with our squad, build things underneath the squad with the academy, emerging talent, training ground, and just try and build the club in a sustainable way over the next few years.
So does Eddie come to you and go, short term, we need this, this and this, and you go, fine, but I'm looking at medium and long term?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, first and foremost, is brilliant to work with and an experienced manager, so understands financial fair play, understands trying to build the squad in a sensible way. So we would try and work a couple of windows in advance. We know what we'd like to do for the summer of 23, for example, and then if the right player and the right opportunity comes along and we can do it, then we'd look at it. But January is always a difficult window, and Eddie knows that, and I know that, and so it's not always quite so easy to be able to get the right player in a short period of time.
Emile had a wry smile on his face. Have you heard January's a difficult window before, Emile?
Yeah, it is. I was just saying, this is a fantastic project that you're embarking on. I was going to ask if you're going to be fairly busy in January, but obviously...
Well, I think, Emile, you get 2 opportunities this season to change your squad in and out, and this is one of them. It's a shorter one than the summer window. It would be remiss of us not to try and look at something and do something. But as I said previously, we're clear what we want to do in the summer. If the right player comes along and the right opportunity, then of course we'd look at it. And then the second part of the club's strategy is looking at more emerging talent and younger players that sit outside of the 25-man squad. So once again, if the right player comes along, we've just signed Howe, for example, an 18-year-old. So we're always looking for those sorts of players as well to add to our depth of talent that we have at the club.
I know I might have answered this question right down, but talk about the academy, and now you've got a different budget perhaps. You can attract the younger players, the next generation of players coming through the squad. You can compete with the bigger clubs, the Manchester clubs, Liverpool, for the best talent. That must be one of your jobs as well in the role you have.
Yeah, it is, Shay, and we've got to give them a story, tell them a story and a plan about how they've got a possibility of playing on this great pitch for this great football club. So we have to put something together that's going to be attractive to the player, and most of the time that's about pathways. Yeah. So it's about, how can I get in your first team, and what are you going to do to help me if you're talking to a young player in order to achieve their potential and achieve their vision of being a Premier League footballer. Yeah. But ultimately, we've talked about this before, it's not sustainable for us to keep going out and buying here and now players. We have to buy some potential and get some potential through the building, and we've already got some in the building through our academy now, and just try and invest and upgrade that. So Eddie's got a nice problem to have. He's got a lot of good young players coming through the system that we're trying to get into our team as well.
You arrived in the summer. We're going to look at the calendar year signings that Newcastle made, and there was so much talk last January about who would Newcastle attract given the perilous position they were in and the character of players that they would attract. When you actually look at the deals that Newcastle have done since January 2022, and Alexander Isak has had some injury problems and has definitely got the potential, but every other player has hit the target for you in doing what they were bought to do. I mean, that is a remarkable success rate for a calendar year.
Yeah, and I think credit again goes to Eddie and the coaching staff and the recruitment staff, because people don't always appreciate there's 2 parts to this. There's talent identification, so it's about getting the right players in the building, but there's also talent management, so that's about making sure that they get the right coaching program, the right nutrition, the right medical, the right player care, and all those things that go to help a player settle, hit the ground running, and contribute to the team.
I know you talk about sustainability and the long-term project as well. If you were to try and accelerate the project, what helps more, the current league position, being in a Champions League place, or the opportunity to actually start putting silverware on the table? Because once silverware is there, then it follows more silverware. That's the thought process.
Yeah, I would say both, because both of them help attract a really high caliber of player. The stadium sells itself. It's an incredible project. It's an incredible city and football club. But if you're then starting to knock on the door for major trophies and competing for European places in the Premier League, that helps you attract a top-level player.
When you phone up a club for a player, I don't know who does that. I don't know whether you do it or do it. I don't need to know that. Do you reveal that you're Newcastle?
Well, I don't have a Newcastle accent, so I can get away with it. Yeah, I think ultimately the way the game works is that you're transparent and go in to discuss with clubs about the opportunity for player X or player Y and see whether there's an opportunity to acquire that player.
The reason I ask that is obviously a lot of those deals done last January were very reasonable prices paid for a lot of those players. There is what's now known as a Newcastle premium, and I've heard of other clubs in years gone by. Udinese used to do it. I think I was told where I used to do the Italian football, didn't let on at the start that it was Udinese trying to buy a player because they were known at being able to polish up rough diamonds.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that you've got more than one option. So you've got the ability to walk away from a deal if it gets too pricey. We would have a valuation in the market of what that player is worth to us, and if that deal goes too high or is unattainable, then we move on to the next player, or we don't fill that hole. So again, that's where Steve Nixon, the recruitment department, come in, and it's about making sure that we've got a list of targets that we feel are able to take us to the level we want to get to.
Just a temptation now in January, obviously, because you're third in the league, Dan. I don't know, from the ownership, from yourself, from Eddie, is there a temptation to just go that extra yard now, because your job in the summer will be easy to go, we're in Champions League next season, we're going somewhere with this project?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and one we've talked about. There are a couple of factors in there. So we have got a 25-man squad now. Yeah. So we would need to trade. And the second thing is every club is bound by financial fair play. Yeah. So each financial year you have budgets in which you can use. So there needs to be, we need to make sure that fits inside that budget, and we just can't go and spend because we fancy it. It's all part of the plan.
But you see where I'm coming from?
No, absolutely, of course. And yes, that does lead into those sorts of conversations. Of course it does, that we're in a wonderful position in the league, and we want to be able to sustain that. But we've got a really good squad to be able to sustain that as well.
Perfect, good, great.
Finally, are you a good watcher? Are you going to be nervous now? This feels like a big night for Newcastle.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, so I've watched a lot of games now. You become emotionally attached to your football club, and it means a lot. So yes, I feel sick during the game. I'm not a particularly good watcher. I have to go and sit on my own. I don't talk to anybody. But I'm watching the game for all sorts of different reasons. But ultimately, these are the sorts of games you want to be involved in, and it's a privilege to be here.
It's like being a parent, isn't it? Watching your kids do sport. Feel so nervous when they do it. It's like I'm going to have to take myself off from the other parents. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us, Dan. I really appreciate it. Dan Ashworth, the Newcastle Sporting Director, with us.